Yes, my Paxton people. What's going on? What's going on? And here today, I'm Darius3k, and we've got a brand new show with you today. I am your host. It is called The Lineup, and we are going to discuss the coming up lineup and what I think and what my special guest will think the lineup is going to be. We'll talk tactical, we'll talk also injuries, and hopefully we can get a bit of a debate going on. So, as my first guest, you know what I had to do to get my first guest, and I had to get Mr. Paxton Road, the specialist himself, Sam Spurs for life. First guest on. How you feeling, my friend?
How am I feeling?
Oh,
my eyes are red through laughing and crying and tears.
We're throwing up fives.
I was gonna get the loonies on and play five on it, but I thought that'd be too much. But anyway, yeah, I'm great.
It was a great. You know what? It was great. We literally finished our show at 12:30. Got straight on to watch the game, and 7 minutes in, they were already 1 down, and then 20 minutes in, they had 2 down and a red card. So I've enjoyed my day so far, and you know what? Tottenham are playing all right as well. So I think that my weekend might actually be quite good. So let's not waste any time. Let's get straight into it. I'm going to show you what I believe the lineup's going to be, and then what we'll do is we'll talk through each position, maybe talk tactics, see what Watford are going to bring potentially, and then see how anything can change. So I'd like to get your opinion on my lineup. I will show you what the lineup is, and let's see if you agree with me. So I've kept it the same. I've gone for Lloris at the back, Tanganga as a right back, Sanchez and Dier, maybe controversially for some people, kept them as centre back, and Reguilon as a left back. I've gone for Skip as a holding, but it'll probably be more of a flat 3, maybe even a double pivot at times. But I've gone for Skip, Højbjerg, and Ali. We normally see that front 3 kind of work quite simultaneously. So the midfield 3 I've gone for is the same again: Skip, Højbjerg, and Ali. And then I've decided to, after finding out about the positive news. Well, I hope everybody thinks it's positive news. But Kane's statement on Twitter, basically saying that he's going to stay. City obviously going in for Ronaldo. It seems definitely now that he's going to stay. I've decided to put Kane in that starting lineup. So yeah, and then obviously we've got Son and Bergwijn on each wing, which I think they deserve to stay. So obviously, controversially, Lucas Moura have decided to choose to drop out. What's your thoughts on that? And what's your thoughts on Moura's performance potentially against Wolves? And do you think it's deserved, or do you think it's sort of going back to what we were doing, sort of playing Kane whenever he's fit and available? What's your thoughts on it, Sam?
I would have said, had this been an away game, maybe playing somebody, a tougher team, even at any away game, I think may see Kane coming. The fact that we're playing a newly promoted side, we're at home, the team's confidence to keep the team's winning. They had a good performance on Thursday against Pacos. Those that played before against Wolves, all those players, including Moura, I think played well. Moura's probably the only one of those front 3 or 4, if you're going to look at it that way, with Dele included, that maybe is the one that potentially could come out of that team. But I would start with the same team. I think we talked about this on the preview show, just for the fact that it's a home game. I would expect us to still go out and be the dominant team to win this game. I wouldn't say comfortably, but certainly put in a performance where we should be able to win 1 or 2 at least. And then maybe bring Harry Kane on a little bit later. It's always a great option to have someone like Harry Kane on the bench, but he's not a bench player. So if he starts, it wouldn't surprise me tomorrow.
Yeah, that was sort of my thinking with that. On obviously the preview show, I definitely said, I definitely remember saying that we should keep the same starting lineup, and I thought that sort of, it sets a precedent for the season going forward. It shows that we're not sort of going back to that Harry Kane is the be all and end all. But I just think slowly as the day went on, I just sort of thought to myself, he scored 2 goals on Thursday. He's definitely staying now this season. For me, it was more of, I can't see how he doesn't start. But I think and big up to One Touch TV in the comments. He says, "Relax, Darius. Tottenham will do a Tottenham soon enough." Big up. And then he also said, "Here, you lot need to stop disrespecting Moura. That's why you lost the Champions League final. He's a baller. I agree. Should be one of the first guys on your team sheet." At the moment, I also agree. He didn't play as well, obviously, against Passos and Wolves, but you know what? He's been fantastic. Even last season, we all were singing his praises. So I 100% agree with that sentiment, One Touch. And I just think the only reason is, if you're talking about performance wise, and I think you'll probably agree with me, Sam, he was probably one of the least performing out of everybody, and that's saying something because he wasn't even bad against Wolves. And I'm talking about the Premier League here.
Yeah, as I said, the team if you look at the overall team performance against Wolves, we were under pressure from Wolves. Although I don't think that they were gonna score. I wasn't in any way kind of like, oh, we're getting battered here. They're gonna knock 1 or 2 in. It was a game where we were under pressure from them, but them being at home, them with the crowd up, it's going to be exactly the same effect that we're going to have tomorrow. So for that reason, the players that maybe started against Wolves have now got an opportunity to say, listen, it was an away game, it was a tougher afternoon. Now we're at home. Let's see how the crowd, let's see how our pitch, the size of it helps us. So I would play more personally. I would have the same front three. I would like to see Bergwijn get more of an opportunity because I think he's probably one of the players that has improved one of the players that's improved a lot under Nuno, as with Dele Alli as well. So those two, I think, just need to keep on playing just to show us as fans that they are improving, that they are getting better, that they are worthy of a place in the team, because there's a lot of competition now. We've got Brian, who's also potentially going to come into this team as well. So it's not a guarantee for certain players. I think the only probably guarantees in there, Son, if you look at Son being that, when Kane's obviously back in there, the keeper. But everybody else, Højbjerg is probably another one that's a starter, definitely. But everybody else in there potentially has got competition. Even Lloris. Yeah,
it's, you know what, and we were saying this again. Sorry to refer back to the preview, but we were saying that this competition is sort of what you need. It breeds, and I think the defense is a perfect example. It makes you improve your game because you're on your toes constantly. If you slip up, last season, if Sanchez or Dier slipped up, they might even get another spot in that next 11, the next game. 100%. But this time, there's no room to slip up. When you have somebody like Romero waiting in the wings, and again, I think he had a great game on Thursday. He really showed his dominance and his interception skills. Definitely, you don't have any space to sort of make any mistakes. So I agree with you. I think Brian Hill is again another example where he could potentially be knocking on the door and competing with these 4 players here. So the options are amazing.
Can I ask a question? Do you think, Darius, is a potential for playing a 3 at the back and you can incorporate Dier, Sanchez and Romero and then maybe drop one of Moore or Bergwijn with playing 2 up top with Son and Kane?
So it was strange you say that. I was going to ask you, my next question to you was going to be the formation and whether we stick with what we know or we change it up. Because personally, if I want Romero to sort of not get back into the team, but integrate into the team as smoothly as possible, I would want him to play in his favorite positions. And I know at Argentina he played in a 4 and he was fantastic, but he's mostly played in a 3 in his playing career at Atalanta and at Juve. He was both playing in a 3 and he was in the middle, and his role was different. Normally when you're in the middle of a 3, you're the deepest one. You're sweeping for the other 2, but he was the one who was sort of intercepting tackles, going forward, playing that DM role. And I think it would work as well in Tottenham. I just think, like you said, who would you sacrifice? I think maybe Tanganga would be a sacrifice and Doherty would come into that right wing back, and obviously Reguilon I think would be a perfectly fine left wing back. And then you keep the same midfield, I think, and then potentially, like you said, I think it would probably have to be one of Bergwijn or Moura to make a sacrifice. But at the moment, I don't really see how anybody can be sacrificed. The only other thing I could suggest is playing a 3-4-3 and sacrificing one of the midfield as well. But then obviously you're losing legs in midfield for width. So it's all dependent. For me, it's all dependent on the team. I think Watford aren't going to really... I'm not entirely sure what formation they played against Villa when they got the victory. But I'm not entirely sure that Watford are going to sort of press on the front foot against us. And maybe that will allow us not to play an extra midfielder if they wanted to play a 3-4-3. But I think we'll stick to the 4-3-3. So
I don't know. I don't know if Watford play what formation they play. I can't remember. The likelihood is they may play a 3 at the back. They may play 1 up top. So, if they go for a 3-5-2, then they're playing 2 up top. But again, that's going to be a little bit more defensive from their perspective. We should have the ball. Do we necessarily have to match up with them? No, I don't think so, because I think we should be the dominant force being at home, as I've mentioned before. If they played a 4-5-1, then we wouldn't need to play a 3 because there's only one player to occupy a back 3 from us. So if we were to play a 3 at the back, it would mean, in my opinion, that Bergwijn and Moore wouldn't play there. I agree with what you're saying. I think Doherty might then come in as a wing back. You'd have the Sanchez, Romero, Dier, Reguilon, Højbjerg, Skip. Then I would play Dele Alli just in front of Højbjerg and Skip, and then I'd have a front 2 potentially of Harry Kane and Son, when they can all interchange, because it would be very interchangeable between Son, Kane and Ali, if that's the case.
And that's what I like about our sort of our system and identity now. It's very fluid. Everybody seems to know their role. And I think Skip said that in an interview. He said that Nuno makes it very clear what he wants from his players in each position. And that's only a help for the development of the players and also the team. And I just, you know what, to be honest, I think that what a good thing about this current situation is whoever comes in and out of this team, the quality doesn't seem to drop as significantly as before. And I think that's the main thing that I've noticed now is everybody's up their game, and it means that these difficult decisions that Nuno has to make aren't going to affect the team, and sort of he can change it based on who we play. I just saw Watford play a 4-1-4-1 sort of, so it's going to be probably a 4-5-1, basically a 4-5-1. I'll suggest a defensive 4-5-1. So it gives you. I don't think a 3 at the back is probably necessary. I probably think that you'll probably see this. You'll see, I think you'll see Højbjerg go up a lot forward, sort of try to win the ball up high, because his Højbjerg and interceptions and tackling, that's his specialty. So I think you'll probably see him trying to win the ball up a lot higher and us turning the ball around higher up the pitch. And I can only ask for that. So just before we finish, I think I'm going to go to the comments and sort of answer their questions and discuss what they're discussing in the comments, because I think that's good, because it's obviously got to do with our lineup. So big up on Monday, Juma. He's a legend. We all know about the legend on Monday. He said, talk to us about Skip. What sort of player is he? Sam, would you like to tell him Monday about in my opinion, I may be going a bit too far, but in my opinion, one of our brightest talents, like 20 years old. In my opinion, you could probably call him a wonder kid, because, well, Sam, I'll let you take it away and educate him Monday on Oliver Skip. Yeah,
so Oliver Skip, what Oliver Skip has is in his game, he's a very, very calm, controlled player. He receives the ball well, in terms of, when I say that, receiving on the half turns, always checking his shoulder. One of the things for, as you know, as a midfielder, you've got to be spatially aware, know what's around you, know what you're going to do before you do it. Sort of like when Paul Scholes played in that sort of midfield area, he always had, as they always say, the picture in his head before he receives the ball. So he knows exactly what he's going to do a step ahead of the opponents. That's what Oliver Skip brings to me. His distribution is really good. What I think he maybe just needs to get more of is the experience of playing in the Prem. Obviously, he was at the Championship last year. He's come back. He's played a couple of games already and has looked the part, but had a little bit of shaky moments in the early stages of the games. That may be just due to a bit of nerves. That might be just to the fact that the game's a little bit quicker at the start of every Premiership game. But once he's settled into the game, he's very controlled. He's very calm. He can pick passes. He just keeps things moving. But he's also got an eye for a forward pass. With Højbjerg being on that right-hand side now, a little bit further forward, it gives Skip a lot more space as opposed to a double pivot. So he's kind of marshalling that whole area behind him, receiving the ball off the fullbacks, but then also distributing that further forward as well. So for me, he's a major upgrade on Dier, Winks, a major upgrade on Sissoko, just because of his ball playing abilities. He also puts in a fabulous tackle too.
Yeah, I think Sam really got it spot on there. I think the only thing I'll really add on to that is like you said, is consistency. Is for me, when I look at a player and I'm separating a great player from a good player, or a great young player from a good player, it's when they can sort of seamlessly enter squads and fit into squads quite easily. He went to Norwich, he played a system in the Championship, which is a tough league by anyone's stretch, and sort of at 19 years old was a mainstay in that team. I think he got into Norwich's player of the season, or he got into the Championship team of the season or something like that. So it shows consistency. And again, like you said, his distribution, his tenacity, everything about him, it's sort of, it does resemble I know what you mean by the Paul Scholes comparison. Obviously, he's not on the level of Paul Scholes yet, but no. I can see what you mean by he creates that image before anybody else, and it's what we thought Winks was going to be effectively. And I think at 20 100%. Years old, to see that at 20 years old and to sort of fit into this new team, new manager, quite easily as well. He's a starter in everybody's opinion. It's a joy to see. So, and he comes from the academy, so you can't be mad at that.
One other thing to add, as you just mentioned, 20 years old, he's got 20. Game development. At the moment, he's probably being pigeonholed into more of a holding link player, but there's an opportunity if he has that engine to become a real box to box. Has he got a goal for it? Now, again, going back to the Paul Scholes comparison, that's what he had. He had a goal for it. Do you know what I'm saying? He could also do all the passing around, pick the ball up in midfield, break into the box, score goals from distance. If he added that to his game, then we've certainly got a potential England captain on our hands.
He's great. Another one from Monday is Tanganga going to be a right back? Personally, I don't think he's intended to be, but I just think with our current situation of right backs, I think he probably is our best right back at the club, and he's not even a right back, and that says it all, to be honest, in my opinion. I think there's been rumours about Zeki Celik, the Lille right back, moving to a different club, moving to Atletico Madrid, and that means that Aurier might go to Lille as his replacement. If that happens, I believe we'll probably bring in a right back. If Aurier doesn't go, then you're probably going to see Tanganga and Aurier and Doherty probably fighting for that right back, depending on, again, who we play and what sort of right back he wants to deploy. Yeah, you probably see Tanganga play. Again, for a Mondy's sake, I would compare him to basically Aaron Wan-Bissaka. He's basically our version of Aaron Wan-Bissaka, a defensive right back who can get forward at times, but isn't the best at attacking, and that's not his skill set. So I don't know how you feel about Tanganga as a right back. For me, I don't mind it as long as we bring in somebody who can be a more attacking right back in that position.
Tanganga brings more balance than someone like Aurier. So again, Aurier is better going forward than he is defending. So when you're asking us to defend as a team when we're under pressure, Tanganga can fill in because he's a centre-back by trade. Again, if you're going to play a slightly lopsided system where you've got one of your fullbacks bombing forward, which in this case could be Reguilon, Tanganga can seamlessly tuck inside and create a back three.
And you've seen that, haven't you? And I think that's why some people obviously see us line up on you see the overlay, you see the sort of the stuff, and you see it's 4-3-3 on Sky Sports. But really and truly, when we're actually playing, it is a lot of the time a 3 at the back. So if you're actually watching Tottenham, you will know that we are sort of playing a 4 and a 3 almost at the same time, effectively, out and in the possession. Because
it's very rare that you would see both Reguilon in and around our 18-yard box or the attacking 18-yard box and Tanganga at the same time. And how City do it, they do a very similar type of thing where you see one of their fullbacks really, really high up and really wide, and then someone like Walker, if it was on the right-hand side, will tuck in, almost creating another midfielder. So you're overloading the midfield. And if you've got the ability to do that, it then stops the counter. The pressing's easier, and it stops the counter-attack as well from coming straight through the middle. So there's options when you play someone like Tanganga over someone like Aurier, but it's a balance. At home against Watford, I would want us to be on the front foot, attacking at all possible opportunities.
Definitely. And again, like I said, we're bringing in players like Pape Sarr, who is a very dominant midfielder, and again, will probably have similar roles to Højbjerg and Skip. So it's only things to be positive about. Yeah, Monday says the team looks strong. One Touch says, don't think Ali thing will personally last, but let's see. I was on the exact same wave as you, my friend. I was on the exact same boat as you, but I can't lie, he's slowly beginning to make me think this might just be a new Ali. He might have found his position that benefits him as much as that sort of second striker role was doing. So I think Ali's going to be okay this season. John said we need another midfielder plus a right back. I think everybody agrees with that. I know that we've been linked, and we're very heavily linked with Alex Mariba from Barcelona. If we can get him in at 18 years old, the talent he is, that will be pretty fantastic. But obviously we have to wait and see. They're not signed yet. And a right back, again, I think is dependent on Aurier.
Yeah, so just on that right back thing, I agree with what you're saying there, Darius. If the transfer window closes and Aurier is still at the club and Doherty is still at the club, there is no reason to get another right back because you've got 3 players there. It all depends on the attitude of someone like Aurier, because he will be the one that's going to be closest to pushing Tanganga, depending on the system. Doherty is a dependable player. He's probably the right back
Conference League player, isn't he?
Well, he's our Ben Davis on the right-hand side, basically. That's what I see him as.
Utility. And I think that's, again, we paid 17 million for him, but I'm not against him staying for a season. If the player gets injured, Tanganga's quite injury prone, you might need an extra player or 2 to come in. So, yeah, I guess you can deal with that. And Monday, again, thank you guys. Great info all the time. I would ask you for info on Man United players, but you lot are signing the best players in the world. So we all know about Ronaldo. We all know about Rashford and Sancho. We don't need to worry about your players. Daryl, big up Daryl Denton, says, Skip, what sort of player is he? Just about decent at everything without being special. You know what? I'd say he's more than decent at everything, but I would genuinely probably agree with you. I just think that people sort of undervalue consistency and sort of how important that is in the game. And Højbjerg is, for me, one of our best players because he's so consistent. His level is, like I said, I'd give it ratings. His level is a 7, 8, 9, 10 out of 10 most of the time. And if you've got a player who can do that for 30, 40 games a season and he drops maybe once or twice 3 games a season, that for me is much better than a player who's going to have 5 worldies and then go missing like a certain Tongai on our team. So
yeah, the thing with me for Skip, it might sound a bit strange to some people. He's like a really good referee in as much as when you don't notice him in the game and the game goes well, You're thinking, oh well, who was the referee? Because he's like that to me. He's like, oh well, I didn't even know Skip was on the pitch, but we played so well because we've kept possession, we've got balls into the right areas. That is Skip. Not underrated, but certainly he's not one of those players that's all out there where you kind of.
You're not going to see him do a roulette or a through ball or something like that.
100%. He does his job. He does his job really well, and he keeps the team ticking over, moving, and keeping it moving going forward.
Yeah. Big up, Darryl, for that comment. Rochi baby, we don't need Skip when we play Watford at home. Good point, but again, I think he's probably one of our best midfielders at the moment, so I don't know why I would change it, but it's a good point. We can probably still beat Watford without two defensive-minded midfielders. Højbjerg instead of Skip and play Lo Celso. Good point. And then John says, look how much that midfield cost. What, in terms of our midfield and the price?
Midfield. That's a cheap midfield,
and it's a good midfield as well.
It's a quality midfield.
Yeah.
And I said, that comment that before that came up, just with regards to Lo Celso, I forgot all about him. He's pushing for a starting place based on the last game he played.
He was very tenacious. He was back to the old Lo Celso he was against Passos. And I know it's Passos, but Passos aren't that bad of a team. You can't really sleep on them. I think they finished fifth. Was it fifth last season in the Portuguese league?
Crystal. That's what I reckon. Portuguese Crystal. Lo
Celso is a good shout again, Lo Celso. And I think another point you mentioned before we finished off about Ndombele, again, players and Aurier, players that might be not playing because their futures are undecided. You never know. Nuno might put them or integrate them back into that squad. If you're not going to keep a player like Ndombele in the under 23s or reserves, are you? So you might see certain players get back into this squad. To be fair, big up John, big up Rochi. And then finally, Sushant says, hello there, guys. Big up for your hard work. Thank you very much. We're not stopping. It's you guys that motivate us to do all this. So keep the 100%. Comments up, keep the likes up. Thank you very much for that. But I think we are pretty much done here, Sam. I mean, what was your prediction? I think you said, was it 2-0 in the previous?
I went 2-0. I went 2-0 in the end. Yeah.
I went 3-0. I think that lineup. When I look at that lineup, I really probably expect maybe more goals. But you know what? I'm not going to be greedy. I'm just going to say 2 wins out of 2, and a certain other team haven't even scored a goal yet and is sitting 20th table. So let me just shut up. Let me just say thank you everybody for watching. And we really appreciate it. Paxton people, if you just like this video, like every video that we upload, we appreciate every single like. And make sure you comment as well. Let us know what you think your lineup should be, who you would take out, who you'd put in. And you can follow Sam Spurs for Life right there on his Twitter. And mine is Darius3k. Make sure you follow us on everything. And also follow us on TV Paxton as well on Twitter. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for this lineup. Hopefully this will be one of many shows in the future. So look out for us. And I'll hopefully have loads of other guests on, because it's not always going to be Sam Spurs for Life. You see him too much anyway. Thank you guys. Take care. See you later.